Hello, I'm Linda Carnell. I'm Project Learning Trees State Coordinator for the state of West Virginia. Today we're going to talk about a Project Learning Tree activity called We All Need Trees. Have you ever thought about what we get from trees? Most people do not. If I ask you to name 3 things that you know are made from a tree or have some kind of tree part in them, could you name them? Think about it for just a second. Most of the time, people will give me paper, something that's wood, and then something miscellaneous, usually syrup or air or something that is close to them, pencil. These are just 3 things that you have thought about. There are over 5,000 things that are listed as forest products. Most people don't even think about the stuff that we use every day in our homes, or even the homes themselves are made from trees. So trees are very important to us, and one of the reasons that we harvest trees is because of the demand that we put on those forests. I'm going to introduce Claire Ferguson. Claire is an AmeriCorps member who is working with our agency this year, and one of the things she has is this little triangle right here. This is something called our daily wood. This piece of wood represents how much wood each and every person in the world consumes every day. And when I talk about consume, it could be eating, it could be using, it could be firewood, it could be all kind of things. But you think about how many people are in the world and how many consume wood. So that's the reason foresters like to make sure that we manage our forests so that we can continue to have the products that we need. Another thing that we want to talk about is we have a lot of different trees in the world. In West Virginia alone, we have over 100 different species of trees. Are all trees the same? Can all trees be used for everything? Let's think about it. In the case of making a barrel, barrels need white oak wood because whatever you put in the barrel, you don't want it to leach out. In the same instance, we also have red oaks. Red oaks have pores that are wide open, so if you put a liquid in it, it would definitely leak out. This is a little experiment. If you ever get a chance to have a piece of white oak and red oak, you can do this experiment. Do you think that you could blow bubbles through wood? Let's take a look. I have just a little bit of bubble solution here. You tell me which species we have, red oak or white oak. Remember, white oak, its pores have something called tyloses in it, and it seals the pores once the wood is cut. So I've got 2 pieces of wood. I'm going to put one in the bubble mixture and blow. Did you see anything come out? Let's try our next one. I bet you never thought you could blow bubbles through wood. That's the difference between these 2 species. So it kind of answers the question in a fun way that not all trees are the same and not all wood is the same, so not all wood can be used for all things. We're going to now go and take a look at some products that we use every day. So I'm over here at the table and I have several things that we use every day. I've got cashew nuts, we've got toothpaste, got shampoo, Parmesan cheese, bowling pins, chocolate, coffee, spices, all kind of stuff. How many of these things do you think have a tree product in them? Let's take a look at them. So now we're over here at the table. We're looking at several products that we probably see in our own home. Parmesan cheese, paper, olives, all kind of things. One of the things that I have sitting here is some different products, and when I asked you earlier to name 3 things that you know are made from a tree, I guarantee you most of you said paper, something wooden, and something else. So take a look at how we use paper. Yes, toilet paper. very important even during this time. Newspapers, packaging. We have a lot of packaging. Think about it as if you went through a local restaurant and the stuff that they give you, all the paper products that are used to help our food systems. Let's take a look at what paper actually looks like. Sometimes when we look at a sheet of paper, we never really think about where it came from. So this is actually paper in 4 stages. This was from a local paper company, and they supplied this to me, and I didn't even think about it. Sometimes you'll see trucks filled with logs heading somewhere, and you don't realize what it's going to turn into. It could turn into a roll of toilet paper. So all this paper is made using similar processes, but yet it's a little different. So most paper, like the paper you write on, starts off as a whole tree turning into chips. And those chips are usually heated and pulverized till they can be turned into pulp. And when you're making writing paper, you usually have to bleach the pulp in order to make the paper that we write on. At the very end, if you can see right at the bottom, this is actually the fibers. So it has gone from chips to fibers. Fibers about the width of your hair. And it is suspended in something called slurry. So a lot of paper is just water until everything is put together and the fibers are laid together, and then you get sheets of paper. So the next thing, we've talked about paper and spent a lot of time on it, but let's think about other things that we have here. This is varnish. And think about where varnish comes from. We're going to play a game here in just a little bit, and we'll actually sort out what parts of the tree some of these products do come from. So we have Parmesan cheese. We have imitation vanilla. And this is not vanilla from a vanilla bean. This is actually imitation vanilla. And the reason it's imitation is because what is in it is actually a chemical called vanillin. We also have things like olives. Are olives from a tree? Probably. There are some things that are actually, they use olives in them. Things like shampoo, it has olive oil, shea, and avocado. Are those all trees? It may be something you want to look up. Toothpaste. I hope everybody uses toothpaste every day. Toothpaste actually has some tree type stuff in it to make this kind of oozy looking so that you don't have watery toothpaste. You may have something in this one, there's cellulose gum. How many of you like nuts? These are cashews. Do they come from a tree? Yes, they do. There's actually a tree, the cashew tree. I bet everyone has seen these. These are charcoal briquettes. Does anyone know what charcoal means? Some people think it's charred coal, but actually it's wood that has already been burnt in the absence of oxygen. Even in sports, we have a lot of different things, a lot of wood. Yes, we do have a lot of synthetic things now, and that's fine, but a lot of your original recreational things were wooden. Skis, hockey sticks, bats. So we've got like the Louisville Slugger Bat. This is usually made from ash. Even though a lot of people use metal bats now, the original ones were wood. This is a bowling pin. This is solid wood on the inside. It's just got a plastic covering on the outside. Sometimes you will find things that you don't really think about, like waxing your car. Car wax is actually carnauba wax. Is that a tree? I think so. And actually you'll even find some carnauba wax in this stuff, mascara. If you like to go tan and like coconut oil, Is coconut a tree? Probably. And then you can even find it in things like chest rubs. You have camphor and eucalyptus. Are these trees? No, they don't grow in the United States, but they are trees around the world. So a lot of our products are not gotten right from the United States. We are a global economy now, and we receive products from all over the world. Things like chocolate, cocoa. The actual tree is called cacao, but when the nibs are roasted, it becomes cocoa that we bake with, that we eat. Coffee. Is there a coffee tree? There sure is. Even instruments. A lot of instruments are wooden. So we utilize trees a good bit. Here's some. I'm sure you've seen these in the kitchen. A lot of your essential oils are plant-based. A lot of your spices actually can come from trees. Things like nutmeg, cinnamon. Cinnamon is actually a bark. These are essential oils from almond, orange, coconut, root beer. Root beer. A lot of people don't think that when they're drinking that, it's actually made from the roots of a tree. And even clothing. There is a cloth called Rayon. Rayon is spindleized wood fibers. It is a very detailed process, but it's kind of neat to know that we can actually turn wood into fabric. Some of you will probably know that sugar maple syrup comes from a tree. And in fact, that's West Virginia state tree. Things like gums and different resins, like latex, also come from a tree, the rubber tree. At one time, even tires were rubber. There are still rubber components, but a lot of tires now have petroleum products in them. And even things in our house like carpet, cabinets, all that. So we're going to go through and actually break down what parts of the tree these things come from. And what I would challenge you to do is when you're at home, take a look at how many forest products are in your house. So what you're going to see right now, we have actually taken one of the activities from We All Need Trees, Activity 13 in the Project Learning Tree book, and we've now sorted those products that we had on the table into what parts of the tree that the product is actually derived from. So you'll notice that under the sap products, these are usually the gums and resins. So maple syrup comes from the sap of a tree, varnish comes from the sap of a tree, carnauba wax is part of the sap of a tree. So it gives you an idea. Even some of our spices and our essential oils, those can also fall into the next category, which are fruits, leaves, and seed products. So these are things like cashew nuts, chocolate, olives, olive oil, coconut oils, even baby food can be considered a forest product. We have applesauce, and in some of the older baby food versions, there is something called torula yeast, and that is a byproduct of processing wood. As we move on down, we're looking at cellulose products. Cellulose is actually what a lot of people would consider something like sawdust. So this is actually cellulose. But that cellulose can turn into things like sponges, paper, fuel filters, oil filters, the imitation vanilla flavoring, and turn into Rayon. A lot of people didn't realize that Parmesan cheese, especially in the bottled or the canned version, has cellulose inside it. It helps keep the moisture out and keeps it from caking. But what does cellulose taste like? Whatever product it's in. Even some carpets are made from cellulose fibers or rayon fibers. As we come on down to bark products, that is a piece of cinnamon. So when you eat cinnamon, you're actually eating the bark of a cinnamon tree. The other product is cork. Cork is the bark of the cork oak. Sometimes our inks and different colorings are derived from the barks of a tree. And then when we come down to it, charcoal. Charcoal is also a bark or a wood product. When we come to wood products, some of our heating fuels, like pellets, wood pellets, are made from wood that has been chopped up and condensed. Some of our instruments, plywoods, flake boards, even fencing, and some of our recreational things, even some of our tools. So I hope you learned a little bit about what we get from trees and why we all need trees. I'm Linda Carnell, West Virginia Project Learning Trees.